Shut your floppy titty up. You know damn well if your brother was the subjectation of a scandal like Cuomo that you would not be sitting here on air because you don't talk about your Bob the Builder looking husband on air at all when he got several skeletons in his closet that should have been reported at The View, but you ain't got the balls to talk about it because you don't even ever want to talk about your marriage, okay? You don't even want to talk about your dating life, or if your husband dicks you down or anything. You don't want to talk about that on The View, so mismute the BS and the hypocrisy, okay? Hi, welcome to JOA. If you're new to my channel, I'd really do appreciate it if you click subscribe and you click the bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload. Please do subscribe and click the bell. I'm so happy, y'all. I'm like 35, 179 subscribers. Come on, y'all. Let's get it up a little. I know y'all get mad at me sometimes, and we can agree to disagree, but I appreciate it. I appreciate that you guys subscribe and everything. If you're to my channel, I ask icebreaker question. This icebreaker question is: do you think Meghan McCain would ever talk about her brother, Jimmy McCain, on The View, or would talk about her husband, who's a public figure? I mean, he's a public figure. He should be talked about. Ben Dominic. That's his real name. Ben Dominic, but I call him Ben Dominic on The View. Do you really think she has the guts? I mean, no. Hypocrisy. It's a rhetorical question, all right? If you're also new, I am on Patreon. As you guys know, sometimes YouTubers, they lose their channel. I'm happy that Bonnie Blue got her channel back. But, we got to, sometimes that don't really happen. Sometimes you go through more stuff. So patreon.com/JOA. That's just to support me. I really do appreciate it. If you are a business, established business, or if you have a budget for your business and you like YouTube promotion, please do email me at joamedia1@gmail.com. I want you guys to watch this clip, and I'll come back with some more, okay?
Right. Meghan, what do you see happening next? And are you also surprised at the speed that the Attorney General took to get this information done?
Well, Letitia James is, incredibly, professional, well-prepared prosecutor who I think, obviously did an incredible job with the amount of people she interviewed and just the thoroughness of the investigation. I think you have to be a sociopath or a lunatic or just, completely blind to reality in order not to take this as truth at this point. And I was actually really surprised by his press conference yesterday where he was just defiant after all these women came forward. And some of the accusations, it goes way beyond just like hugging and saying hi. It was like sticking his hand up a woman's dress in her front, touching breasts, touching the back of her neck, like things that it doesn't take, like it's obviously inappropriate and disgusting, and it's obviously sexual harassment. I think there's a lot of issues with Andrew Cuomo and the way he's been covered for the past few years during COVID. If you remember, there was this whole like Cuomo sexual phenomenon in the media and with celebrities. I remember people like Chelsea Handler tweeting that they had crushes on him. I always get uncomfortable when politicians are held to this deity standard. I always think it's dangerous. The other tragedy for me is that, I have been walking this path with my sister, Janice Dean, who lost her in-laws because of a mandate that he gave to put COVID-positive patients in nursing homes. And she lost her mother-in-law and father-in-law. There will be a memorial for them this upcoming Sunday. And there's 15,000 elderly people whose lives didn't matter to our society, didn't matter to our culture. These older people didn't matter. They could die in a really controversial and, as far as I'm concerned, it was murder and the blood is on the part of Governor Cuomo's hands, and we didn't care. And it's not that sexual harassment isn't disgusting and egregious and horrible, but it really says something about our society that we just do not care about old people. So I'm sad that those 15,000 people will not get their day in court. And then I also think it's interesting, we had a conversation about nepotism on this show a few days ago. You want to talk about nepotism, not having to talk about the biggest scandal in the country when it has to do with your brother and you're hosting CNN. That's nepotism. The Cuomo family and CNN are the worst kinds of nepotism that the media has an example of. If it were my brother, if my brother were somehow the governor and he had been accused of this, you are damn straight I'd be talking about it on The View this morning, and that makes all of them cowards. So I hope that Governor Cuomo is either forced out of office or resigns, and I hope that his brother Chris Cuomo has any kind of retribution whatsoever for his show, because there was a point in time when they were doing comedy sketches with giant Q-tips on air during the height. Here we have a picture. And this was all fine and good. So when he's fine, it's okay to air it. That's journalism. It's journalism now that he's bad and he's been accused of all this and the investigation came out. It's all disgusting. We wonder why people hate the media and hate journalism.
I can't hear you. Sonny, I don't know if you can hear me, but you're a former
I can hear you.
Federal prosecutor. Oh, great. Oh.
Meghan McCain, the hypocrisy of it all. You know damn well you will not be talking about your brother or even your now husband who has multiple scandals up his ass or had multiple scandals up his ass, you know, and talk about it on The View. You would just never do that. I mean, can we just sit here and talk about your husband's scandal for a second? Your husband was married. You are the third wife, so he had 2 other wives at the age of 39. He's 39 years old now. Your husband accepted $36,000 from Joshua Trevino, you know, a lobbyist, to write great things about the Malaysian government. Your husband was sent ethical violations for sending out a tweet threatening his employees, and a judge ruled based on evidence that those were ethical workforce violations. Okay. Your father-in-law also has violations ethically under his hands. So can we just sit here and talk about your husband being fired from the Washington Post, your husband being fired from the Huffington Post, your husband being fired from the Washington Examiner? You know, and these are only after like several days of being employed by these companies that he was subjectively fired. He denied plagiarism and there were evidence that he plagiarized. So can we just sit there and talk about the things, the portfolios of your husband? You won't even talk about your sex life on The View. So would you even think about talking about your husband? I mean, he's a public figure. I mean, the most recent one was the violations, the workplace violations, the commentary he tweeted on Twitter, threatening his employees and calling it a joke. But later the judge ruled that it was not a joke based on evidence that was shown. So we could talk about that all day. We can, but she won't talk about it, you guys. She won't. Now, if she wasn't a hypocrite, I would actually defend her and say, because I don't like the Cuomos. I don't like Chris Cuomo. You know, the fact that you were in a meeting with your brother, convincing him not to resign and using your stupid law degree that you have to tell him tactics to say, because of the multiple accounts of sexual harassment that came forward about, you know, about the woman that came forward. And it's like, dude, do you not have any care for women at all, Chris Cuomo? And the fact that this is the definition of white privilege. I know he's been in CNN for a long time, like Don Lemon has. I know he has a law degree. So I'm not going to sit here and call him a nepotism, because it seemingly, you know, he worked hard and got and climbed up the ranks at CNN. He's been there for a long time. That's fair to say, right? We could say that. I mean, I don't know. I didn't dig through his history like that. We could just say that right now, right? But the fact that CNN did not give him just a slap, an even minor slap on the wrist, for him as a commentator, for him whose employer covers this, they didn't give him a suspension or a minor slap on the wrist for him to sit in the meetings convincing his brother what to say about the allegations about him. Are you serious? That's the definition of white privilege. But yet CNN wants to fire Dr. Lamont Hill for saying something outside of the network at a United Nations speech, a whole hour and 30-minute speech. And the one thing they took out of that speech was him saying free Palestine from river to sea, from the river to the sea. And they fired him. So don't tell me white privilege don't tell me white privilege doesn't exist. Don't tell me racial bias doesn't exist, because that is the definition of white privilege. And okay, so Mr. Cuomo, I know CNN told you to back off from this story, but I agree with Meghan McCain. You can't have your Neanderthal-looking brother on the show and with a damn Q-tip and not cover it even before, because this happened before. This story happened during the beginning of this story was the beginning of like the pandemic times, I believe, during the winter time of 2019 going into 2020. So you could have talked about it before you got caught being in the meetings, but you didn't. You only wanted to celebrate the moments of him being on Ellen, who Ellen DeGeneres likes better, about his brother, I believe, getting a Emmy, and him having a high approval rating for being the president of the United States. A lot of people actually looked up to the man. This is why I don't look up to people or celebrities or politicians, because I was never one of those people that was in those high ratings. Okay, this is why sometimes I don't believe in polls or statistics when it comes to for approval ratings with these damn politicians. Chris Cuomo is a younger brother, but he has traits of his older brother. You know, I have COVID, I'm on CNN, I'm in the basement. But yeah, down the street, you're building a damn house without your mask on, being out in public, and a bicyclist saw you, and you talking about you gotta cost it on air. That's what these white privileged men like to say. They gotta cost it. These racist men, I gotta cost it. I gotta cost it. You know, I gotta cost it by someone. No, you got caught. You didn't get a call. You got caught for being in your damn basement on national television, talking about you're not leaving your house. But then again, when the cameras are closed down, you out a mile away building a new house with your wife and kids without a damn mask with COVID. Boy, sit down somewhere. But anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please do subscribe and click the bell so you'll be the first to know when I upload. Deuces. Yeah.